Western powers. Um, Anyway, so those empires are the Russian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Safavid Persian Empire, the Mughal Empire, and the Ming slash King uh, uh, Chinese Empire. And you have the Austro-Hungary, but Austro-Hungary kind of. And the Ming and slash the King are so isolated. We're gonna talk about it a little bit, but like they're not doing much. They're very powerful themselves. It's almost impossible to conquer them. But anyway, they not they are powerful on defense, like a turtle, but they didn't try to be aggressive. But we're gonna talk about that. How the main gunpowder empires are more actually the Mughal Empire, the Safavid Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and to some degree the Russian Empire as well. So when you're looking at the image that I'm putting right there, if you didn't realize, three of them are Muslim powers. But I want to clarify something. The Mughal Empire is 50-50 Islamic, because as you know, or as you should know, modern India has 200 million Muslim in it today. Even like that stat from few years ago, so it could be even higher. But anyway, it's the second country that has the highest Muslim population in it, and they are stretched in the outside. Not many of them live in the city areas where most of India is located, near Delhi and New Delhi. The sea coastline of the Indian Ocean coastline near to Myanmar. Near to the Pacific side, to the east. And like big portion of India still owned and live, the most they live in are Muslims, and so on and so forth. So they are considered minority in India, but I don't think so. Even if they are percentage wise a minority, they are the biggest minority. They still 200 goddamn million. That's not really that much off of the biggest, the most populated Muslim country, Muslim country, and Muslim population in the world, which is Indonesia, and it is like 250-ish million. Not really that much off from the Muslims inside of India. So proportionally wise, in India, you can say that the Muslims are minority, but they're far from minority, because, come on, man, they 200 million of them. That's half of the people living in Europe, and that's 2/3 of the people living in the United States. Come on, man, is our minority is just India and China are gigantic in terms of population nowadays. But anyway, let's talking about the main topic here. So the Mughal Empire is 50-50 Islamic, because they don't follow the Sharia law that much. They focus on their power more. The Islamic practices in terms of the government is so low. Some of their leaders are tyrants. Some of them, even their Islam is highly questionable. In fact, some of them I can be confident after having the privilege of reading all of their history from someone from the future, that some of their leaders, or their horrible leaders, where their Islam is not just highly questionable, but you can argue they weren't Muslim by heart, and they were acting as if they are Muslims. For instance, one of them, I forgot his name, didn't pray the Friday prayer at all, and he didn't pray it like he genuinely tell the people that I don't pray the Friday prayer. as a leader, as a sultan of an empire that's supposed to be resembling the Islamic faith, that's supposed to be a Muslim empire. Um, Even though following Islam should be a proper caliphate where you elect, uh, uh proper caliphate should be election similar to democracy, but not exactly. So the basically the caliphate is the democracy and the aristocracy of the wise. But it was a kingdom. So anyway, so the Mughal Empire, there's a lot of issues in it. There's some horrible stuff they did, and the previous one, they were in control of India. Some of their leaders, they did horrible stuff, and I wanna just explain something. These empires are ruled by by one person. So like for 30, 60 years, just one person ruling them straight. So when one horrible guy dude does horrible stuff every year, let's say 40 times, 40, he rules them for 40 years straight. The, that makes a lot of fear, a lot of there will be a ton of horrible stories, but you need to remember it's only few leaders, few sultans that did that out of about 100 of them. So we'll be talking about 20, like 6, 7 bad ones. But those 6, 7 bad ones happen to be the longest rulers for some reason. So we get horrible stuff. Anyway, I just want to note that. And in terms of the Safavid Empire, the people who know it's a Shia, but I wanna say that they're not even Shia. I'm talking about the government. I mean, the ones in control. The very high one, the top few hundred people out of the entire empire. They're not even Muslims, and they hate Islam, and they fight Islam with the name of Islam. That's why the Ottoman Empire fought them a lot. They also did horrible stuff. In fact, they are more horrible than the Mughal Empire. And I would say, like, even Muslims themselves got persecuted under the Safavid Empire. In fact, the Safavid Empire, Persia, is the area where a lot of Muslims, if not most of the Muslims, live there. Because, Egypt and the Levant was still, until the late 16th century, a Christian majority. But I want to note that it was Orthodox Christianity and Armenian Christianity as well. There's Unitarian Christians / Arisians that are living in this area. But Egypt and the Levant are literally someone around 90% Christians. That includes the time where the Crusades were happening, and the Christians in the Levant in Egypt fought with the Muslims against the Crusaders for every single crusade. Most of them, like I'm saying like over 90% of them, fought with the Muslims against the Christian Crusaders, and other Christians also fought the Ottoman Empire against Russia, and so on and so forth. And the culture is intertwined, and there was a lot of influence by Islam and the Christian. Plus, Islam and Christianity are very similar. Many teachings are the same, so people were happy and done. Anyway, I just want to note that. So most of the Muslims are living in Iran, to be honest. And this area was persecuted by the leaders of the Safavid Empire in name of Islam, in name of Shia. They're not even Shia, man. Like, serious, that requires a whole video itself. They killed 10 million people. At the time, that's one over six of the world population. We're talking crazy stuff. And they did that, like, that's one of their rulers. It's one of the most horrible things, but one of the rulers, like the second ruler, killed 10 million people because these people went against, they know what Islam is, and went against these teachings that this empire top leaders proposing. they totally against Islam. They're not Muslims. They want to destroy Islam using Islam. So they started making their own religion. It's very, very similar story with modern day Iran, high rulers in the government. Iran is not democracy. Modern day Iran. And the top one, like, as the same thing, like the top few hundred people that in leadership of the country of Iran, the same thing, same story. That requires a whole video on itself. And I will make a video in the future explaining that precisely. Anyway, now let's move on. In terms of Russian Empire, they have very strong defense, which is the cold. They maintained huge land, which gave them a lot of farming. There's some techniques to farm even in the cold. And they were good at defending themselves, as well as they made a really good trading deals, and they were both an enemy and a friend of the Ottoman Empire. Plus, they had a lot of wars with the Ottoman Empire, and these wars actually benefited the Russia more than it's benefited the Ottoman, even the ones that the Ottoman wins. And it was all back and forth. It's a stalemate all the time. In general, it was a stalemate. The other thing, in terms of China, China and Japan had an insane potential, but they are very, very isolated. Plus, they have a lot of fears, and they have some really bad implications of fear of the unknown to one of their philosophies, and they stayed where they are and they didn't improve. They had the technology. They just need to continue, but it wasn't implied to the military. It wasn't developed deeper. Wasn't distributed to the entire empire, and they didn't improve their military. And over here, I want to explain something very quickly, and it's a principle. The thing is, back in the days in history, if you don't fight, somebody will fight you, or somebody somewhat in the future will fight you. The thing is, it's a great example to explain here. The Ming Empire and the king had a really, really, really damn good army, but because for multiple centuries they are totally in peace, they lost the skills. They lost, both soldiers and generals' experience and skill, and potential, all gone. So the generals and the soldiers are totally not professionals or anything of that type. I'm really trying to simplify this. This is a bit deeper than what I'm saying, but the other thing is, they didn't improve their military, even though they have the technology. They have rockets, they have explosives, cannons and rockets, and even explosive itself came from China. They didn't improve, they didn't do deep trade, they didn't take advantage of their most powerful giant in terms of the size of the ships and the number of the ships. Navy, but seriously, the Chinese Navy is the strongest navy in the entire history of mankind at that point. I'm saying, like, from the beginning of Chinese Navy, like thousands of years ago, until what I call it, until the 17th century, China had the biggest and the most powerful navy in existence, with big ships and so many of them. Considering also they have explosive and rockets. Rockets didn't hasn't been totally weaponized in the rest of the part of the world. It got weaponized by India. They a little bit weaponized by China, but it wasn't used to its full extent. And later on, they dashed it for some reason. So because they are too quiet, too silent, too isolated, too much peace, and they just stayed where they are, didn't move further. They basically they didn't move further, and rest of the world is moving forwards to the future, and they stuck where they are. That with very little improvement. Of course, there is improvement, but nothing in comparison to the rest of the world. So that's what this is the story here. This is the contents. Now, why did they go back? Well, simply, first, the most important thing. I mean, one of the most important thing, but it's very important to talk about first, is the exploration. They found the new world, and it's not only about finding the new world. Where the Muslims of Spain, before Spain becomes Spain, before Castile take off Granada, and in the 15th century, at the similar time at when the Ottoman Empire was a little bit decent and took over the city of Constantinople. The Granada was finished by Castile, and the Reconquista was concluded. The thing is, the Muslims of Spain in the Andalus, they had maps and stuff about the New World, and Christopher Columbus knowed about the New World using the maps of the Muslims and such. The thing is, he might have the idea of reaching India through that, and even the world as globe at the time is a Muslim idea. Well, the Greek had it, but the Muslims got a new a new idea of how to prove it, and they proved it at the time. At the time, nobody knew that the Greek did know it. There's a lot of information from ancient world that was totally lost, and we in the modern days discovered it through techniques, psychology, or whatnot. So yeah, the thing is, all these, the idea of the world as globe came from Muslim Spain. At the time, okay, it was discovered before. People knows that before, but information gets lost. They didn't have printers yet, so yeah. Printers are very important, but let's just point by point. And so the Muslims, yes, even the Ottoman Empire had knowledge of the New World, North and South, what's so called now North and South America, the Americas. Even one of the Ottoman Empire naval commanders was had a very fantastic map of from Cuba to halfway through, Latin America and the South America, Brazil and stuff, with really fantastic map that looks like modern map, with a lot of information on it, and modern historians, bring the idea of this map is so good, so damn good, and we're pretty sure it was him who did it. That it is so miraculous that they saying it, the aliens help him doing it, some stupid shit like that. But anyway, the Ottoman Empire did know of these such things, but they didn't take action because they were busy of the Indian Ocean and busy doing what they doing because of some stuff we're gonna talk about.